Ever get that feeling? You know that feeling where you hear about someone's life and it just seems a little too perfect?
Oh, yeah, like almost too good to be true.
Exactly. Like, gotta be hiding something kind of perfect. Well, that's exactly how I felt diving into this week's case.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
It's a wild one. We're talking accusations of a brutal attack, whispers of affairs, and a wife claiming self-defense against a husband who, on the surface, seemed, well, perfect.
Okay, so we've got a real head-scratcher here. Where do we even begin to unpack something like this?
Right. It's almost like something out of a movie. And the wildest part, the accusation comes from the wife who seemingly had it all. You almost wonder, why would she risk it all?
You've got my attention, that's for sure. Lay it on me. What are we looking at?
Okay, so to really get into the weeds of this whole thing, we're doing a deep dive on a true crime podcast episode about a guy named Mike Rell. Ever heard of him?
Mike Rello. The name doesn't ring a bell right off the bat.
Yeah, he's not exactly a household name or anything, but his story, oh man, you are not going to believe this. So, from what I gathered, they start by painting him as like unbelievably squeaky clean.
Okay, goody two-shoes, huh?
Basically, Eagle Scout, successful businessman, even his first wife had nothing but good things to say about him.
And that's always a red flag, right? When it seems too good to be true, it usually is.
Right, like come on, nobody's that perfect. But anyway, we're talking mid-2000s here. Mike's fresh out of this divorce, and he decides to give online dating a shot, which, hey, no judgment there, right? It's how a lot of people meet these days.
Oh, absolutely. Online dating can be a wild ride, though. So what happened? He meets someone.
He does. That's where he meets Susan, a 38-year-old nurse. And at first, it sounds like your classic whirlwind romance.
The honeymoon phase.
Oh.
Always exciting, but sometimes you gotta look out for those red flags. Anything pop up early on.
Oh, you better believe it. I mean, right off the bat, we find out that Susan moves into Mike's house pretty quickly, like almost immediately. And get this, she basically takes over the space his ex-wife used to occupy.
Whoa, hold on a second. She moved into the same bedroom and everything.
Yep, you got it.
That's bold. Did the ex-wife have anything to say about that?
She did. She actually mentioned feeling like Susan had basically absorbed her life, her space, her dog, everything.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely not your average start to a relationship. And then there was the prenup, right? That was a whole other thing.
Oh, totally forgot about the prenup.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently after some kind of incident at his daughter's party, Mike suddenly insists on getting a prenuptial agreement.
That's interesting. Makes you wonder what went down at that party to make him suddenly question the solidity of their relationship, right?
Right. It's like, up until that point, they were the picture of a lovey-dovey couple.
Yeah.
Something must have happened to make him pump the brakes like that.
Exactly. It doesn't really add up. And you know what else I found interesting? Even before the wedding, Mike's daughter, Caroline, starts noticing some things about Susan that gave her pause.
Like what kind of things?
Well, mainly her drinking habits. Caroline actually remembers meeting Susan for the first time and being surprised by how much she was drinking.
Oh, like really hitting it hard.
Yeah, multiple martinis apparently. Not exactly a casual glass of wine with dinner.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that does kind of raise an eyebrow.
Right. It's one thing to enjoy a cocktail, but to be, let's just say, overly enthusiastic about it, especially meeting your significant other's kid for the first time.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
And I think what's important here is that these early observations, they kind of give us a glimpse into the dynamics of their relationship, which, as we know, ultimately escalates into something much more serious.
And it all kind of explodes after Caroline's wedding, right? Talk about bad timing.
Yeah, sadly. This happy occasion, the wedding, totally overshadowed by this massive argument that leads to Susan's arrest.
Wait, Susan's arrest? What happened?
She was arrested for domestic violence.
Against Mike.
Hold on. Against Mike. So she was the aggressor.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And you know, that's where this case really throws us for a loop. It kind of challenges our typical assumptions about domestic violence, you know?
Yeah, it's not what you usually hear. You don't often think of the husband as the victim.
Exactly. It's way too easy to jump to conclusions based on, you know, societal stereotypes. But this case really makes us hit the brakes and acknowledge that domestic violence can affect anyone, regardless of gender. It's a truth that we don't talk about enough.
Absolutely. 100%. So walk us through what happened that night. What's Mike's side of the story?
Okay, so according to Mike, Susan became physically abusive, even going so far as to throw a wine bottle at him.
She threw a wine bottle, like full on chucked it at him.
From a staircase, he said.
A staircase. Oh my gosh. That's scary. What did he do?
That's where things get even more complicated. Mike says he never reported this alleged abuse to the police.
Really? He just let it go. It's sadly more common than you'd think, especially for men.
I guess so. I mean, it's got to be hard for anyone to come forward, but yeah, for a guy, there's probably a lot of shame and pressure to just man up and deal with it.
Exactly. It's a whole other layer of complexity. But for now, let's shift gears and talk about the night that changed everything for Mike and Susan. The night of the attack.
Okay, so the night of the attack. Set the scene for me.
Picture this. It's the middle of the night, like 4 a.m. A frantic 911 call comes in, and when the police arrive at Mike's house, it's a bloodbath.
Oh my gosh, a bloodbath. Like a horror movie.
Totally. And they find Susan in the bedroom, covered in blood.
Oh, that's awful. I mean, I guess everyone's first thought is a home invasion, right?
Exactly. It seems like the most obvious explanation, especially given the level of violence.
Right, of course. But then, this is where it gets really crazy. Because remember how Susan was arrested for domestic violence against Mike a few weeks before?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so that incident becomes even more important now. Because Susan's version of the attack, totally different story.
Oh, really? So she doesn't say it was a home invasion?
No. She completely turns the tables. Claims it was Mike who attacked her.
Whoa, hold on a minute. She's saying Mike made the whole thing up, the intruder, everything.
That's exactly what she's saying.
Wow, okay, this just took a really unexpected turn. All right, so walk me through what she says happened.
So, according to Susan, they had this, tense dinner that night where she told Mike she wanted a divorce.
Oh, so they were already on the rocks, and
She goes to bed, right? And she says that's when Mike came into the bedroom and attacked her with a knife.
Oh my God. That's terrifying.
Right, the podcast actually goes into some pretty graphic detail about what she remembers from that night.
Like what kind of detail?
Well, she talks about the feeling of the knife, the shock, and the pain. She even says that Mike was talking to her while she was bleeding.
No way. He was just calmly talking to her while she was lying there hurt.
That's what she claims.
Man, that is seriously creepy.
Totally. It's a chilling detail. But, we do have to remember that we're hearing this from Susan's perspective. And she went through something extremely traumatic that night.
That's true. Memories can be unreliable, especially after something like that. Trauma does weird things to your brain. So what about Mike? What's his story?
Well, unsurprisingly, he paints a very different picture of what happened that night. He says that he found Susan in the bedroom with the knife, and they struggled, which is how she got hurt.
They struggled. Seems a little convenient, doesn't it?
Right. Come on, is that really the best you've got?
It gets even harder to buy when you consider the inconsistencies in his story. For example, he claims that he and Susan were having a normal conversation while she was bleeding on the bed.
Wait, are you serious? He's claiming they were just, chatting it up while she's bleeding from a knife wound?
That's his story.
That is beyond strange.
Yeah, it's definitely a detail that makes you go, really? It's hard to imagine someone, even in shock, acting so normal in that kind of situation. It's one of the most bizarre parts of this whole case, in my opinion. Makes you wonder what was really going on in his head.
Seriously? Was he in shock? Was he trying to, cover something up, or was he just totally detached from reality? It's just so strange.
But then again, truth can be stranger than fiction, right?
You said it. It's like trying to separate fact from fiction, and it becomes the million-dollar question for the jury.
Totally. So, with these two wildly different stories, the case goes to trial. What were the key arguments on both sides?
It was intense. The prosecution really went after Mike's story, especially that whole casual conversation while bleeding thing. They just kept hammering that point home. And they also brought up his online dating activity.
Oh, interesting. What about it?
Well, they basically argued that he was active on these dating sites, even while claiming to be trying to save his marriage.
Oh, so they used that to show that he wasn't really invested in the relationship. Exactly. It made him look like a guy who was already moving on, maybe even looking for someone new, while pretending to be all about saving his marriage.
Wow. That's pretty damning.
Yeah.
What about the defense? What was their strategy?
They went a different route. They focused on painting Susan as mentally unstable.
The old she did it to herself defense. Classic.
Yep, pretty much. They basically argued that Susan's injuries were self-inflicted and that Mike was actually trying to help her, not hurt her.
Okay, but did they have any evidence to back that up?
Well, they pointed to Susan's drinking habits, and they brought up some past incidents that suggested she might have some instability. They said it's possible she hurt herself, maybe during a drunken episode, and then made up the whole story about Mike.
So it basically boiled down to a he said, she said situation. What did the jury make of it all?
It was a tough one, clearly. The jury deliberated for 9 days.
9 days. Wow. They must have really gone back and forth.
Oh, I'm sure they did. But in the end, they reached a verdict. Guilty.
Guilty. So they believed Susan.
They convicted Mike Rell of attempted first-degree murder.
Wow. So even with all the twists and turns, all the uncertainty, the jury ultimately sided with Susan's version of events.
They did, which means that Mike was going to prison.
So he was going to prison for attempted murder. But even after the guilty verdict, did he ever admit to doing it?
Nope. Mike has always maintained his innocence.
Wow. Even after everything. That's crazy. You'd think at some point he'd want to come clean. Does anyone else ever come forward to back up his story?
Well, at the sentencing, his daughter Caroline gave a really emotional statement. She talked about what a loving father he was, how compassionate he could be. A lot of his friends spoke up too, basically saying he was a good guy, and they couldn't believe the verdict.
It's like they were holding on to that image of him from before. The perfect Mike, the Eagle Scout.
But we know there was more to it. What about those other charges?
Oh, right. Things get even wilder. Remember how Mike insisted he was innocent?
Yeah?
Well, while he was in prison, the authorities found evidence that he had tried to hire someone to kill Susan. Wait, what? He tried to hire a hitman from prison. You're kidding.
Sounds like a movie, I know. But it's true. And obviously, that didn't really help his case.
No kidding. What was he thinking? If he was really innocent, why would he do something like that?
Yeah.
Makes zero sense.
Exactly. That's what makes this case so unsettling. Every time you think you've figured it out, there's another twist. Just when you think you know who Mike really is, he does something to make you doubt everything.
So after the hitman thing, what happened? What was his sentence?
The judge gave him 30 years.
30 years. Wow. So he's basically going to be in prison for the rest of his life.
Pretty much.
It's heavy stuff. It makes you wonder, will we ever really know the truth about what happened that night between Mike and Susan?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's like a puzzle with some pieces missing. We can look at the evidence, analyze the stories, but we'll never truly know for sure what went down in that bedroom.
It's kind of creepy when you think about it like that. It's easy to get caught up in all the details, but like you said before, there's a much bigger picture here. This case forces us to think about domestic violence, the lies people tell, and how hard it can be to know what's really true.
You hit the nail on the head. It really makes you question everything you think you know about people, about relationships, even about yourself. It's a reminder that things aren't always what they seem.
Absolutely. Well, listeners, that's our deep dive into the truly bizarre case of Mike Rell. It's a story full of twists, turns, and some really disturbing details. But beyond all that, it's a reminder that truth can be a slippery thing. And sometimes, even when all the cards are on the table, we're still left with more questions than answers.
It's a story that stays with you, for sure.
Absolutely. And with that, we're wrapping up another episode of The Deep Dive. As always, thank you for joining us. And until next time, stay curious.